The sign is in Exlin, the trout capital of Wisconsin. When that sign was put up, we knew that we weren't the trout capital of Wisconsin, but that name was given to us by a fellow named Wayne Vaness. Wayne owned a bar in town, and he was a dynamic trout fisherman, and he started selling t-shirts that said, Exlin, the trout fishing capital of Wisconsin. And even though we knew we weren't, in Wayne's early life, he was a boxer, and a damn good one. He was a state Golden Gloves champion, and when he went to the regionals for the national tournament, he ran into a guy you might have heard of. And the guy who licked Wayne that day, but they went 10 rounds, and the guy that beat Wayne was named Joe Louis. Well, if you're tough enough to go 10 rounds with Joe Louis, you can put up whatever sign you want to in Exlin, Wisconsin. So, we do something in Exlin, we call it a Kids Fishing Expo. We hold it in April every year. We used to do it in May, but the weather was biting at us, and so we moved it into May. We used to do it in April, now we do it in May for better weather. We invite school kids from all the area school districts, Exlin and Bruce, Weyerhaeuser, before they consolidated with Chautauqua, Winter, Birchwood. We invite a Catholic school to come, a virtual school comes, and homeschool kids come, and we put on a little display just last for morning, how to tie a knot, how to cast a pole. We do a fish ID station, a fish cleaning station. They plant a tree before they leave town. We feed them a fish sandwich, and before they get on their school buses and go back to school for the rest of the day, we give each of them a fishing rod and reel combo. And we're able to upgrade the quality of what we give them. A few years ago, we started working with Scope, and they make a generous donation to us every year. So part of your Scope dollars are ending up in Exlin, and that's much appreciated, fellas. We also working with Max. There's a little lake right in town. We've been fortunate enough to be the benefactor of some surplus trout that get put in there each year, and that's really been a big success for our little community. Before, you never saw a kid riding a bicycle through town carrying a fishing pole, but now you see it all the time. In relation to that, we developed a nature trail along that little lake that's there. We've put in 3 handicap docks. They get used a lot. It's really been a great success for us. We've also, and that was talked earlier by the Trout Unlimited fella, with so many trout streams in Exlin, one which was just improved upon here recently, we have a beaver control problem down there, and there's a lot of people in Exlin that would like to trap beaver, but for one thing, the price isn't very good right now, but they're not licensed to do so. So I contacted Chris, and then went on the DNR website and ended up with the Wisconsin Trappers Association. So we're going to be hosting a trapper education course in Exlin here in the very near future. And the last thing I want to mention is another project we just decided to do. We have a young member, he's a sophomore at Stevens Point. He's majoring in fish biology. His name is Chance Brown. Part of his education is he wants to do a fish study, but he needed to get that funded. There's a grant available through the University of Stevens Point Foundation, but that won't cover all of Chance's expenses. So to help Chance through this project, whatever the grant doesn't cover, we're going to pick up the rest of the tab for that. Chance is on the highway to a pretty good career as a fish biologist. He really loves it. He's passionate about it, and we're pretty proud to be able to help him out. Right, thank you.
I got to meet Chance last time I was in Stevens Point when we talked about this project. So maybe we'll get Chance back here in the future to talk about it. It'd be pretty cool. So, all right. Thank you for letting us jump back to trout and making up my mistake there. Now we'll jump back to walleye. And we'll finish up, we'll close the loop on this walleye stocking thing that Rick gave us some good background on. So Nelson Lake, not seeing quite as much return on some of their walleye stockings as they'd hoped. Smith Lake in 2013 was in a similar situation. The axis on this side of the graph is age 1 walleye catch rate. So this is when we stock walleyes, we go back the next year and we shock and we see how many of those fish we can catch when they're 1 year old. So they've been in the lake for a full 365 days. And don't worry too much about what the actual number is there. I want you to compare these bars to each other. So we did this stocking in Smith Lake in 2013 as a part of the walleye initiative. didn't stack up very well. When you compare it to the northern Wisconsin average, compared to the Sawyer County average, we beat the northern Wisconsin average, proud to say. So this Smith Lake stocking, wasn't really stacking up. Smith Lake Association came to me and they were scratching their heads. They're saying, we got some money, we want to do something. Finally, we came up with this plan of stocking some minnows at the same time that the walleye are stocked. And I told them at the time, I said, I'm not guaranteeing this is going to work. This is kind of out there. Is putting 50 pounds of minnows at the same time to put the walleyes in going to make a big difference? I don't know. But we tried it, because we're all for trying things here in Sawyer County. And this is what happened. All of a sudden, the 2015 stocking where we put the minnows in not only beats the pants off the 2013 Smith Lake stocking, but now we're beating the average for the area. So what does this mean? Well, in short, nothing. Because if you're a fish biologist, you don't make too much out of a small sample size, right? But it does pique your interest. You have to see this a couple more times before you believe it. So that's why we went forward with it on Nelson Lake, and there's a couple other lakes where I'm interested in trying it. And if we see that same result 3 or 4 times, then we've got something that's truly interesting. For now, it's warrants more explanation, or exploration is my biologist term for this. But this is just kind of in this theme of, in this area and through these partnerships, we're trying different things, we're trying to solve problems, we're not just sitting back and accepting our defeat when it comes to walleye stocking or anything else. This is a graph that shows that same age 1 catch rate for all the lakes in the walleye initiative. And this is the average over the last 4 years. So what you can see here is the yellow line is the northern Wisconsin average. We have some lakes below that. We have some lakes that are way above that. We have really quite a range in our walleye stocking success. Some lakes we see almost no returns on this. Some lakes, gangbusters. Shiitake, teal, barber. Those are all ones where we do very, very well with our stocked fish. If you stare at this long enough, a pattern might jump out, but I'm going to give away the answer so you don't have to stare all night. Generally speaking, on this left side of the graph where we have poor survival, we're talking about clear water lakes, with a couple exceptions. Fish Trap and Blaisdell are in there. But for the most part, the rest of those are all of the clearest lakes that are involved in this walleye initiative stocking in Sawyer County. All these lakes exclusively are dark water. Those are very dark water lakes for the most part. So there's a pattern going on here. Whether it's the clear water itself, which it could be. Walleye optical habitat is something you've heard me talk about in the past. They're a visual feeder. A lot of times they do better in dark water. They're finding that to be a pretty important factor on mille lacs and some of the issues they're having there. Some of it might be that darker water can be indicative of more productive water, so there may be more food available. If you go to a Shiitake lake or a barber lake, and you turn the electricity on our shocking boat, the water comes alive with little perch and little panfish. Very productive lakes, lots of food available for them. So the idea is, whether it's minnow stocking or other strategies, we want to see if there's something we can do to improve our luck on some of these lakes. A lot of these lakes are doing fairly well with this walleye stocking. A couple more notes on walleye before we move on. On the Chippewa flowage, we are and have been talking about erosion control for quite a long time. We have different erosion issues on some of the islands, on some of the main shorelines, and that has the potential to impact walleye. As that sand sloughs off, it covers the good rocky spawning habitat. Getting out and doing erosion control on these very large areas is an expensive and challenging proposition. We haven't figured out quite how to tackle that. But again, instead of accepting defeat, my team with some of our DNR foresters went out last week and we're doing kind of an erosion test area where we're seeing if we can use some soft armoring techniques using trees to block wind and wave action and see if we can at least slow down the erosion in some of these areas. So we'll report back on that in the future. But we put 192 trees down in one day last week. Another future project that relates to the Chippewa flowage but could be used elsewhere is mapping our walleye spawning habitat using side-scan sonar, which is a technique that's out there and has been used by some researchers. That's something we think we have the skills to do locally. Scott's a whiz with all this type of technology, so we'd like to acquire one of those units and use it to map habitat for walleye, and that has particular importance in the Chippewa flowage if we're trying to prioritize where we're going to do erosion control in the future. Where's the good walleye habitat that we can protect? All right. To close out walleyes, let's hear from Joe. Joe's here from Walleyes for Northwest Wisconsin. You've heard their name pop up. They get involved in all kinds of great projects, and they have something big coming up this weekend too, right, Joe?
Yeah, we have I'm Joe Gennick, president of Walleyes for Northwest Wisconsin. We have our big ice event. It's probably our only event that we have during the year. In the future here, we plan on maybe doing a sports show or something like that to raise money also. Anybody interested in coming down, come on down. It helps our organization to raise money, basically to do projects that hand in hand we work with Max at raising money to do different things like extended growth walleyes. I think Sawyer County was the first county to actually start doing the extended growth walleye project, and now it's kind of a statewide thing that everybody's doing and jumping on board, and I think it's a great project. We also do things like fish sticks programs when the walleye stocking and all that is being done by the DNR. I can't say enough, about this community, what everybody has done, all the organizations, it kind of hits me in the heart, when we have our ice event, all the other associations, groups, and all that do get involved, I once thought, Sawyer County, it's a county that has the big muskie. Everybody knows about muskie and all that. And I stopped and I thought, we need to get more of the state involved in what we do up here. It hits me in the heart of what everybody here has done. Tonight I thought, I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. But you know what? It's you guys. It's everybody in our community that what you've done, it makes our organization go, and it's a great, great thing. You see these kids when we have our ACE event go out and get these prizes and the smiles on their faces. We got a community that everybody here should be proud of. All the speakers here tonight that have come up and talked and what you're doing. Anyhow, I don't know much more what I can say. I just basically want to say, come out to our event, invest in the money, put your money into it and help us out and raise money for raising walleye so that we can actually have our kids come out and fish and do the things that learn to fish instead of sitting on a computer.
Sounds good.